Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. Well, you may have noticed I've been on a bit of a Wally Wood kick. It's been a couple weeks, but still. So, we're having one more thing about Wally Wood. It's Wallace Wood. This is The World of Wood, number 5, from Eclipse Comics from 1989, and it's reprinting a story drawn by Wally Wood in his pre-EC days. It was from what was it? Strange. What did it say? Now I've forgotten. From Flying. The title was Flying Saucers from 1950. And here I have a typical Woody type, spacey type cover. And I think this was taken from a wood drawing and then inked over and colored by another artist. That's the way it looks to me. It doesn't look like Wood's actual inking strokes on here, but it definitely looks like a wood drawing, or it might be a composite of several wood drawings. I don't know, but Wood was great. Even here in his early days, would have been a real early Wally Wood. And still, it looks great. When you look closely at the artwork, you can tell that it's not his more mature style, but you still see hints of that coming through. So let's have a quick look here. Okay, World of Wood, number 5. That was a mini series. I don't know how many issues it was they had in there, and they usually had. Because I've got a couple of other issues some floating around somewhere with different artists doing Wood-like covers, like Dave Stevens and such, from various things. And here's The Flying Saucers, Spawn of Terror. I've got to get loose. I must warn the world. I must stop them. Loose. Got to get loose. Well, and of course that's our splash panel. But the story actually begins here, and it involves our main character, who doesn't matter what his name is or anything. There's a part of some kind of scientific expedition in South America. A big storm has hit, and they are in the shadow of a volcano. Lightning strikes in their camp, frightening all their bearers, killing one of them, and which is unfortunate. And they spend the night, and then in the process, the rest of the bearers have taken off. They notice that the volcano is odd because they see blazing streamers, but no heat, no smoke, no lava, nothing from the volcano. It just seems, it almost looks like it's man-made. They bury the dead bearer, and then shortly they come under attack by some of the natives. The partner is killed right off from a spear in the back, and the other fellow, our main character, is captured by the natives and hauled off, and they are going, after some of the events of the previous few days, they are going to sacrifice him to the volcano and toss him into the cone. But he falls. He doesn't fall into any lava or anything. Is it just in a little passageway? He finds a previous sacrifice victim, the skeletal remains. But he sees this one of the lava tubes, and he goes down it. He sees the light, and he comes to. He follows the passage to the end, and Ross, that's his name, Ross, steps into a room hewn from solid rock to witness an amazing sight. No, it can't be. I'm losing my mind. Metal doors. Who made this place and why? So he gets the door open, and all this typical woody technology, and all these what look like rows of transparent coffins with some kind of alien beings in them, and he accidentally awakens one. The alien gets out and starts awakening the others, and he pulls a gun on them. I don't know why he didn't have that gun to defend himself when he was going to be sacrificed, and he gets zapped with a stun beam where he stands there. He's stunned, but he can't move. Everyone gets up, and they get into wheel out all these flying saucers. They get in them, open a passageway, and zoom away. And finally, the stun is starting to wear off, and he was able to crawl around. Then our scene changes for the second chapter. First contact. Pilots and other people all over the world are seeing the flying saucers zooming around. Voo, voo, voo. Meanwhile, in that secret base, he finds a tool, which is an alien tool, and it has a disintegration beam where he manages to get out. He's some better, and protects himself using that beam against a puma, and eventually he gets to safety, and eventually he will be transported back to the United States. Meanwhile, there's still all these UFO sightings everywhere, and people wondering what's going on, investigations from the Air Force, etc. Meanwhile, there are some let's just say probably Soviet spies there also, and they're taking an interest in all this and what the U.S. is doing about it. Meanwhile, our guy Ross, he's in the hospital, recovering. Once he's gotten back to the U.S., and he gets there, he calls a press conference, get all these reporters there, and tells them all about his adventure in South America, which they just poo-poo. Says he's even got this blaster to prove it, and it doesn't work. Why not? But meanwhile, these spy types have heard about this, and they take an interest in it. So maybe he's onto something. As he admits, he had accidentally released these aliens, and he thinks that they are going to, they're there to invade the Earth. Well, these spy types capture him and haul him off and interrogate him, and torture him and interrogate him, trying to get information from him about the aliens and the base, etc. And then suddenly the aliens appear, and they take out the foreign spies. Now for part 3, the final objective. Now Ross is taken by the aliens. They give him a little translator so they can communicate, and using their anti-grav belts, they float up to their spaceships and then take off. And they inform Ross that they are they have been on Earth for tens of thousands, if not millions of years, in suspended animation from a previous time period, and they were the dominant life. But all these men are scientists, and they are the last of their species, of their race, and because their governments were making super weapons, which against the advice of this group of scientists, they used, which resulted in the devastation. And here it is when they're telling about it, and shows it. Then it happened When it was over, everything on Earth had been destroyed, but the tiny group gathered in the cavern. They had made preparations just for that moment, and everyone else from their people had been destroyed. It aren't whether there was absolutely no trace of it left behind, but there would be. And anyway, and they waited until Ross had released them, and now they engage Ross to help them plant devices all over the planet at strategic locations, like at military bases, etc., that will keep that will negate this, because the humans are producing the same type of weapons that the ancients had made, and they want to prevent humans from experiencing the same fate that they did. So he helps them. He's convinced. He helps them, and then when that's done, those super weapons will never work, and so they are saved. And then the aliens get in their ships and they take off to try to find others like themselves. And I said that was a pretty decent one. It got very wordy. I really like the artwork. It's so heavy in background detail that sometimes it gets difficult to see. But it's very well done. And I don't know who wrote it, but remember, this is from 1950, so he was doing pretty good beforehand. Then here, our second story is Skull of the Sorcerer, and you look at it and you say, that's not Wally Wood's head, and you're right. This is the only thing I have ever seen. There's undoubtedly probably something more out there, but it was penciled by Al Williamson, another EC alum before EC, because this is from 1951. And inked by Wally Wood. And it's a little story. Starts off with some kids on Halloween wanting to do some silly stuff, have a little fire going on while the adults are at adult Halloween parties. And this one kid says, "My dad has this skull on. So a pumpkin just won't do on this poster at this fire. So my dad has the skull. They go and get the skull, put the skull on the post. The post winds up, while they're having their little shindig, the post falls over and the skull falls into the flames. And whoosh, something comes up out of the flames, and it looks like a skeletal form in robes. Then we see this kid's parents. They're having some problems with each other, but they're at their wealthy people's Halloween party. And while they're there, then suddenly this someone in this costume appearing as death, but it's not a costume, and the mother faints dead away. But the father, he recognizes something, and he rushes home and finds out what his boy did as naughty, and the man's friend shows up, and a close friend of his, and he tells a story of how he got rich. He was in Tibet or someplace like that at this fellow at this temple and stuff, and they helped him. But then he sees this statue with this magnificent gem in its forehead. Well, he kills the priest, steals the gem, but the dying priest tells him of a curse that when his skull is engulfed in flames, he will return and you will die. And so that's why he's kept that skull all these years. And that's what he's told the story. His friend didn't believe him. He winds up in the funny farm, in a mental hospital. It got him in a straitjacket and padded cell, when suddenly the ghost of that priest appears and strangles him. And everyone is baffled when they find in the closed, locked room the man was strangled. That was at the end. I think both artists did a bang-up job. I think Wally Wood's his shading techniques and the like really helped punch up Al Williamson's bit looser, slightly looser style as far as the shading and stuff is concerned. And it's all done very well. And that is all for this this particular issue of World of Wood. And that should probably be the last Wally Wood thing I do for a while. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe. Leave your comments down below. How much do you love Wally Wood? And here, of course, we as I said, it's pre-EC Wally Wood. And, of course, at EC, he really came into his own and shot to stardom from EC. But after that, he had more of a climb again to attain and retain his popularity. But he did, of course, at Marvel and Tower with DN Agents and the self-publishing and all that other stuff that he did over the years. So thanks for joining me, and remember, comics are art.